Again, my name is Rich Fisher. With our Sunday Visitor, my technical title is I'm a senior campaign consultant. It's a fancy term, meaning I'm a salesperson and the project manager. So I work with you not only through the process of the sale of the program, but also the process of the program, and work with our parishes every step of the way to ensure success for the program. I've been with our Sunday Visitor for about 3.5 years. Prior to that, I wore Pat's hat in the Diocese of Burlington in Vermont. I was a director of stewardship and development for the diocese, working again with parishes. So I have more than 8 years of fundraising experience with parishes and hope to share some things with you about that. So, why are we here? It's all about $100,000. So Steve's going to pass out some $100,000 because again, I want you to, hopefully stay awake during my presentation. But again, this is what we're here about. So I work with parishes on increasing the offertory, but we do a lot more than just increase the offertory, and I hope through the presentation you get a little better of understanding of what our Sunday Visitor does and how we can work with you. So I worked with a couple parishes this past fall, and both parishes came with some challenges and some fears, and I want to address those right up front, because I know many of you are kind of thinking in that line, Rich, we just ran this Church Alive program. Now, it was really successful, and we even raised more money than we thought that we would be able to raise, but now you want us to go back and ask our parishioners for more money. And that's one. Two is they want to make sure that our parish share isn't going to go down, or our Church Alive campaign pledges are going to be fulfilled. And then three, how do we get our parishioners to participate, and how do we do those kinds of things? So what do? Is I work with you individually. Each parish has an idea or a fear or a challenge or different things that you might face. So if I don't address everything fully here today, we gave you an information form. Fill out your name, and we'd be glad to come to your parish, learn a little bit more about your specific situation, and talk to you about how we can help or how our programs can fit into what we do. And so how do we address those fears? Well, a big part of what we did was we sat down with the finance councils and asked, those questions. And everybody thought about it and said, well, what if we don't do anything? Well, our offertory will continue to go down or stay stagnant, and we're not meeting our budget, or maybe we are meeting our budget, but we want to grow some of the ministries that are going on in our parish, and we'd like the funds to be able to do that. So it's not always a deficit situation. Sometimes we want to build and grow our church, bring people back, and provide programs that are engage people more, not only financially, but spiritually in our parish. And so as the discussions continued, I shared some ideas of here's some of the things that I've worked with parishes on. Now, I only work with typically about 40 or 50 parishes a year. And the reason for that is we take a very hands-on approach to how we do our fundraising. I want to be there every step of the way with your program. And we coach you through the language. Now, our Sunday Visitor is a Catholic company, and so we talk about what that Catholic language means. We talk about what the sense of stewardship means and how this response in a planned, proportionate, and sacrificial way really emphasizes what's going on in our parishes. So whether your parish uses the terminology stewardship or not, or we use discipleship, our response to giving, our response to the Lord, whatever the language you might be, will help you build that language in a positive way to share. This is the story of what's going on specifically in our parish. We focus on the celebration. So one of the things that Steve helped hand out, or Dolores helped hand out, was a magazine that we published called Celebrating Parish Community. What we do should be a celebration. It's a celebration of the gifts we have. Now, if I came into a parish and said, I want to increase the offertory, what happens? Parishioners get defensive. It's another campaign. You're asking for money. If we go to our parishioners and say, we want to celebrate the gifts we have, we say Mass every day or at least a couple times a week on the weekends, and we have so many great things that are coming out of our church. We share that story, and people are like, yes, this is what I want to support, because now we know a little bit more about where our offertory is supporting, and they will give. And that's where the response comes in, and that helps take some of those fears and anxieties away. The other part, and I'll address it in the results part, a little bit more about some of those fears as well as where is that response as well. So I kind of alluded into kind of our philosophy on giving and why we run the increased offertory the way we do. What we found is statistically, if all you did was run an increased offertory program, your offertory sure will go up 15 or 20%, and you'd be like, great, our offertory's up $500,000 a week, $50,000 a year. But statistically, we know if you do nothing else, it's going to taper back down. Typically, over a 3 to 5 period, it's going to taper back down to pretty much where you were before. Why is this? It's because we've not connected the spirituality with the finances. We've not then shared the story of what's going on at our parishes. I like to use the analogy of it's like our house. So I have a house that I'm working on. I own it, but I have a mortgage and all that kind of stuff. But what makes it home? It's what happens under the roof. It's the same thing with our churches. It's the house of God. But what makes it our spiritual home is what happens under the roof. When we celebrate our parish community, when we celebrate the story of who we are, when we talk about our spirituality and share our lives, this connects people both spiritually and financially with the church. And when both increase, not only will your offertory increase, but it helps sustain your offertory over time. Now, I can talk to you afterwards about other steps to continue to sustain offertory, things like online giving, other continued communications. Again, communications to connect and engage the parishioner with what's going on in your parish will help not only increase your offertory, but sustain it over time. So when we look at increased offertory, we look to both increase the offertory and the spirituality of the parish. When we talk to you, when we put a program together, we want people to learn and understand why we give, what we can give, and how it supports our parish. And then when they see the stories in action and things moving forward, they're excited. And they're like, my generosity is continuing to work. We're sending kids to Steubenville. We're sending Bible study and our religious education. And I'm seeing things happen. And some of them might be happening already, but they're now making that connection. And they're connecting it back to the mission. So again, we focus on the mission of your church, telling the story of who you are, and really creating a connectivity into the stewardship, into our call to discipleship and for who we are. Our approach at our Sunday Visitor is a very hands-on approach. We continue to look at what we do. Our mission is to serve the church. We serve the church, yes, in many products you're already seeing today, your offertory envelopes, parish share, all kinds of different things we serve the church through, our online giving. But we also serve the church by looking and evaluating what we do and seeing how we can make that better. So 3.5 years ago or so, we rewrote the program. And we've continued to evolve it. We just didn't rewrite it and okay, it's great now. We've continued to evolve the program so it continues to connect and engage our parishioners in the best possible ways. So our program now entails 12 steps, 12 easy steps. If you have kids, it's a couple easy steps anyway. 12 easy steps, and most of them are relatively simple. Thinking about what color we want to use, the pictures we want to use, your letterhead. Very simple things to put the program together. So we've designed it that any parish, big or small, busy or not, can implement the program and be successful. I work with you in 3 phases. Before the program, usually for about 4 to 6 weeks before the program. Our program lasts about 6 weeks, so every week you'll hear from me. And we'll connect and talk about, 1, where the results are, 2, what those next steps are. And then after the program, usually about 4 to 6 weeks later, we'll come back with an evaluation. We'll say, this is kind of where we said we were going to be. Here's what happened, and here's some possible next steps. So, for example, Steve and I were just out at St. Bernard's in Mount Lebanon, and that's what we did this morning. We went through, this is what's going on, and we had a really healthy conversation on how do we keep this message going with our bulletin, with our website, with the parish app. How are we doing these things with the tools that we have? How are we continuing to connect with our parishioners? So we work with you each step of the way because our goal is really to build and grow our church. And our programs should do 3 things. 1, absolutely increase the offertory. But 2, improve communication. And then 3, our goal is to work with you to celebrate that parish community and build a more vibrant church. So the program itself, I'm going to walk through a couple steps of the program, and I'll open up for some questions. And so it's a 6-week program. And again, usually I work with parishes for at least 4 to 6 weeks before the program to get an understanding of what's going on. So I'll meet with sometimes the pastor, finance council, pastoral council, business managers, stewardship committees, you name it. I've kind of touched base with different people. Sometimes everybody comes together. But what we do is we look at what's going on. So the first piece that actually comes out once we outline the program and get our 12 simple steps taken care of is the announcement. Now, the first piece our parishioners will see typically is the announcement brochure. And so again, we customize this with a picture or an image of your church, something that's going to stand out and say this is who we are, the name of the program. Inside, we'll have a message from Father, and those pastors that are here, if you're unsure what to say or are maybe not comfortable with letter writing, I'll help you with this. If you're great with letter writing, great. We'll go through this and make sure that the message here is this is what's going on at our parish, this is where we hope to go, and this is how you can help. The whole inside is dedicated to the finances. One, to talk a little bit more about what planned proportionate sacrificial giving is, what our church teaches on that. 2, in the middle, to share what does this mean, what does this translate to. If we respond proportionately, how much of it, maybe I'm increasing my gift by 20%, or maybe I'm going to give 3% of my income. A little bit about what's coming up with Commitment Sunday, and then finally the financial information for what's going on with the church. So financial transparency is critically important. And then, so that's the brochure. On the backside, usually we market online giving. If you're doing online giving already, if you're not doing online giving, we encourage it. We don't require it, but we encourage it because, again, it helps sustain giving long term. Now, St. Bernard's, and I'll pick on them because we were just there, they had 200 and some families, I can't remember the exact number, I think it was 240 families already signed up for online giving before the program started. During the context of the program, they had 59 more families. They've been using our online giving for 2 years. 59 more families say, I am interested in online giving. Can you send me some information? So again, there is that connectivity, and it really does help sustain that giving over time. So again, first step, week 1, is the announcement. This is who we are and where we're going. Now, around this piece, I'll help you with what to say in the bulletin. I'll help you with some ideas of some things you can put on your website. I'll help you pastors come up with some ideas of this is how we're going to mention it to our parishioners. And again, we'll give you some of what those best practices are throughout the whole process to make sure that you're saying some good things and we're coaching you through that process. So week 1. Week 2 is Commitment Sunday. So everybody would fill out a commitment card after a lay witness talk. So a lay witness would get up and share a little bit about themselves, why they come to St. Athanasius or St. Mary's or St. John's, and say, this is who I am, and this is why I come here, and this is why our parish is so important to me. And I give, and I'm just average Joe, and I encourage you to do the same thing. So we'll coach through what that message can look like. It's a personal message, so everybody's message is going to be a little bit different, but we'll help them through what that 5 to 7 minute message is. After that, everybody fills the commitment card out. The commitment cards are collected. On Monday morning, the commitment cards will then be put by either business manager or secretary, somebody in the office, into a prepaid mail bag. Those are then sent to our Sunday visitor, to our headquarters in Indiana, and we process that information. We have a production team that looks through all this information, and they'll give me some information back, and I'll pull together a couple of reports for you. And so by the end of that week, I'll say, this is what's going on. And each week, I'll give you a report on what's going on. And then I'll share, is this good or is this bad? And if it's really bad, what happened and how do we fix it? Okay? So again, it's not for you to worry about. We've had snowstorms, hurricanes, you name it, all kinds of different things happen. Lay witnesses call in sick. We'll coach you through kind of what that next step is to keep a smooth program without overtaxing your parishioners that might have already heard a message. So again, Commitment Sunday. So week 1 is the announcement. Week 2 is Commitment Sunday. By Thursday of week 2, we've processed all the information and we generate 2 things back out to you other than the reports. And every single week, we will send you thank you letters. So we send them out first class. We don't hold on to them. And the way we process our mailings is we stamp it, seal it, and we send it to you, We overnight express it to you. The reason is you put it in the mail here in Washington or in Carnegie or in Ross Township, it's going to hit people the next day. And we know that. If we drop it in Indiana, one, it's going to be postmarked Indiana. Less people are going to open it. And then two, the timing it goes off. This helps us keep a succinct program. So week 1, announcement. Week 2, commitment Sunday. By Thursday of week 2, we're processing thank yous for those that did participate. For those that did not participate, we do a first follow-up mailing. Okay, so the first ask mailing will then go out. About 2 weeks later, so week 4, we send a second follow-up mailing. 2 weeks later, we wrap up the program with a summary report. It's a full-color summary report, and this summary report, I believe, is a significantly critical component to the process for 3 reasons. It's another opportunity to say, thank you, 1. Number 2, in here, in your examples, I even included the words. It says, through your continued generosity, this is where we're going. So through your continued generosity, sustaining that giving. Because why? This is mailed out about week 6 or week 7, depending on how we proof it out. People are going to see this around week 7 or week 8. There's no solicitation with it. It's just saying this is what's going on. But they said, oh, I made a commitment 2 months ago. Oh, yeah, this is what's going on. This is why I need to continue giving what I'm giving. It helps sustain the giving. And then the third reason is there's a number of people that do not participate in the program. And what it does is it gets them to think about, maybe I will give a little bit more. So they may not fill out the commitment card. It might have fallen underneath the pew, just like that happened. But if they give more, your offertory is going to go up. And that's ultimately what we're working towards. So 6-week program. First week is announcement. Second week is commitment Sunday. End of second week is the first ask mailing. End of fourth week is a second ask mailing. And then our summary report at week 6. So we keep everything pretty succinct and moving forward. From a results standpoint, we've seen extraordinary success. Even here in the diocese, we're in a couple programs last fall. Both programs were about 12 months outside of their pledge phase from the Church Alive campaign, so they had concerns about that. We worked through that, and each one had a unique message on what they wanted to say. St. Cecilia said that, we're burning our mortgage, and we don't want to go into debt again. And so through your generosity, this is where we're hoping to go. We're building these ministries, and we're really bringing our church to life. St. Bernard's really painted a really good picture of this is the importance of offertory, this is the importance of parish share, and this is the importance of our Church Alive program, and why all are important. And again, both had very, very strong results. Most of the time, we're seeing 15 or 20% or more growth in the actual offertory, which typically translates to $30, $50, $75, $100,000 or more back into your offertory. Participation. Most parishes that we see will typically see around a 30 to 40% participation rate. St. Bernard's had about 25% participation. St. Cecilia's had 41%. Again, it probably depends on where things are. But what we looked at before with the Finance Council is that each parish only had 15 to 17% of their parish participating in Church Alive. So there were a good number of people that even those that didn't participate in Church Alive. There were a good number of people that participated in Church Alive that did a one-time gift. So again, they looked at that and they said, okay, well, this does make some sense, and we're going to connect with those people, especially those that have some ability to do some things. So everybody does not participate, and that's okay. But what it does is it helps us to continue to grow the offertory and strengthen where we're actually able to. So we're a Catholic not-for-profit company. I work very hands-on approach to work with you each parish has their own unique situations. So again, if it makes sense to come out to your Finance Council, this is what we're here to do. And we take a customized approach. We take a very fine-tuned 6-week program, and we'll work very closely with you. And